Hey there, everybody. It's Jesse Lewis here, and I want to welcome you to the podcast. Before I begin, I need to tell you about something absolutely awesome, and that's where'smycreditcard.com. They've got a bunch of stuff on there that is absolutely fantastic, and I'm going to show you a little bit about it. Here we have home categories, holiday, and contact us. They've got clothes, food, funny stuff, games, geek stuff, home, office, pet, tech, and toy stuff. Let's take a look at the geek stuff. And I want to let you know that this retailer online is absolutely fantastic. We've got a Bluetooth smartwatch. We've got mobile theater headphones and stuff. We've got wall decals and stuff like that. We've got Monopoly Star Wars Edition. Look at that. There's a lot of stuff on here that is absolutely perfect for your geek culture stuff. Now, look at this thing. If you're a magician, and I know we have a few that watch, this is a 15-piece lockpick set. And I know that many of you in geek culture want to know how to break into stuff. Now, I'm not suggesting that you do that. But if you ever want to learn how to pick locks, over on where'smycreditcard.com, you can definitely find this. I highly recommend where'smycreditcard.com, not only because they sponsor the show, but because I've actually shopped there before. I want to thank you very much for watching this part. Now, let's get on to the actual podcast. So, well, welcome to the Jesse Lewis podcast. It is going to be a wild ride. It's going to be a short one, but we're going to like it. Now, for the week we had, a lot of things happened. Leonard Cohen died. And for those of you that are into his music, I hope that you're doing okay. And for those of you, the family and friends, well, I hope you're okay. And I hope that everything is going well. And the second big news is that Donald Trump is the president-elect of the USA. Now, people are going absolutely bat manure crazy over this. And the truth is that it doesn't really matter at all who the president is to most people's daily lives. Not at all. The president is not in charge of you. The president isn't the person who makes it so you get a job or not. The president, actually, with all the jobs talk and all the rest of it, I'm going to tell you quite honestly, politicians have zero to do with the job rate in the country. Zero. And guess what? The tax rate has very little to do with it as well. If you look at the 1950s where the tax rate in the U.S. was a lot higher, there was more jobs back then. It's true. People had generally a better standard of life back then. College cost about $5,000 to go to per year. And a young person could support their college with about a 4-hour-a-day job. Now, to go to college, you need a 17-hour per day job. And the only thing that has really affected that as far as politics goes is the policies of the politicians. And there's only one way to change that, and that's to write your local, your Democratic or Republican senator and get things changed. Either way, I want you to know that your life is your control, and it's time to get politics and blaming other people out of your life because you are in control of everything. That's my rant for this week. It's your choice to be happy or sad. Yes, some people can say he's racist. Some people can say he's a bully. But if you really look at his actions, those things aren't necessarily true. He's definitely had some sexist comments, that's for sure. But when you look at what he's actually talking about, he's not talking about the people that do things legally. He's saying deport illegal people. He's saying get rid of certain things that aren't necessarily good for the economy. And I'm not necessarily agreeing with him because I also believe that some of the stuff he says is bad. I fully agree some of the stuff he says is bad. Grabbing women by the hoo-ha, that's not a good thing. I am not going to tell you that it's going to be all sunshine and roses with him as president, but you need to give him a chance for a little bit, see where things are. Probably makes about 50%, about 58% of you mad. Keep in mind that he's not in control of your life. You are. So be in control of your life and figure out what you're going to do with your life instead of blaming everybody else. Now, there's some big news on the toy front, and I am a huge fan of this. And the reason I'm a huge fan is because, well, we need more female role models, as evidenced by the presidential election. But Lego introduces the female superhero collection, and I'll throw a picture of it up. But this is going to be fantastic for our daughters and our sons as well, for them to recognize that anybody can do anything. My daughter loves being able to play with the female figurines. And she also loves the male figurines just as much. And my son, he's not even into superheroes all that much. He likes Batman, but that's about it. But my daughter loves them all. She loves Flash and Supergirl and all of them. And she's old enough to understand that these things are awesome. Now, you're going to hear a baby in the background, and my baby is about to start crying, so I'm going to pick her up and we're going to talk. But realistically, these Legos female superheroes, they're a game changer. Because for a long time, let's face it, there was a lot of toys that didn't get put out. If you look at things like when Avengers came out, Black Widow wasn't included in the toy sets, which is just a sad, sad thing. When you look at other things, like Wonder Woman wasn't a toy for a long, long time, while Batman and Superman were. And the fact is that we need these female superheroes as well to demonstrate not only that females can be strong in our world, but also just to have the proper playmates for toys. I would have loved to be able to play with a Wonder Woman when I was a kid. I would have loved to be able to play with a Supergirl when I was a kid, but they weren't around. So I just played with my Batman, my Superman, what I had, which wasn't very much, my Aquaman actually. And yeah, they made Aquaman before Wonder Woman. Think about that. Think about that. Really? Aquaman. Outrageous! That's right. Anyway, my point is that having female superheroes in toys, and specifically in Legos, because they're so good for learning engineering and stuff like that for little ones, it's fantastic that they're out. There was a definite hole in the girls' toy industry, in geek culture specifically, and this helps fill that hole. It doesn't have to be Barbie anymore. You can actually get to your child something that actually is somewhat healthy for them and doesn't dress like a prostitute. Let's face it, a lot of girls' toys, they dress pretty nasty, and they're all about image. And I'm hoping that these toys that come out for Lego and stuff are not dressed in the nasty stuff for my daughter, because that's who's going to be playing with them. Now, another thing that happened is, or another thing that I saw, was that Batman returned with the return of the Cape Crusaders animated movie. And I watched it, and it's actually pretty good. It's retro, but it works. And it's not horrible considering what it is. Let's face it, this is an update on the 1960s show, and I'm not going to give any spoilers, but Batman and Robin have to fight the Joker and Penguin and Catwoman and I think the Riddler. I don't remember. I should watch it again. But realistically, it's ultra cheesy, let's face it. But really, what do you expect? That's what this was. This was the camp era of Batman. And many of us grew up with this. So realistically, it's just a walk down memory lane. And if you want to go on an even bigger walk, you should look at the original series on Netflix. The whole thing is there. And there's a whack of seasons. And I'll let you know. It's on the same Bat time and the same Bat channel. So you better watch it. Kaboom, Pow, Slam, all those. They're all there. All the slaps, all the slapstick comedy. And Holy Georgia, Batman, or whatever Robin says back then. You know, growing up on that stuff, it's kind of silly, but our childhood, most of our childhoods were a lot more innocent than what our daughters and our sons are growing up with today. Just the other day, my daughter told me some disturbing stuff, and even most people know I live up in Canada, and actually, where I live, there was just yesterday, there was a little girl that died. Her father killed her and himself, and I'm not sure what's wrong with culture today. Like, I love my kids, and I'm a little mentally disturbed, let's face it. I'm a little bit weird. You're probably a little bit weird too, but why would you kill your kids? That's about the stupidest bloody crap you can do on Earth. And last year we had a family of 4 die here as well. The stepfather, it wasn't even the father, it was just the man the lady was with. He came in and killed 4 people, the mom and 3 kids. It's unfathomable, the level of stupidity some people have. And part of our job in geek culture is to accept people, but also part of our job is to be able to tell what's right and wrong. That's the whole thing about the superhero story, which, let's face it, all of geek culture is really based on. the superhero stories, the being able to overcome adversity. So what we can do as a geek culture community is we can accept people and we can find out what's wrong with people and we can help them. Mental illness in Canada and the US is not funded half as much as it should be. And that's what this is. If you're killing babies, that's mental illness. Could you kill this? This is a baby. You want to make sure that you have people in your life that are aware, and this abuse against women, that needs to stop. Abuse against other colors needs to stop. We're all bloody human beings. Anyway, let's move on to what we should move on to, and that is something that I saw in my news feed on my Facebook, and I'm super thrilled about. As many of you know, I am an entertainer, and it's always good when other entertainers, whether they are big name or not, like what we're going to talk about, they're big name in their field anyway. Spider-Man and Deadpool this month was written partially by Penn and Teller. Now, Penn specifically wrote it, I believe, or wrote part of it. And Penn and Teller star in Spider-Man slash Deadpool. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun because, well, they're magicians, right? And it is a lot of fun. Hopefully, I haven't read it yet, but I want to let you know it's number 11, Spider-Man slash Deadpool. Go out and buy it. The more of these comics that we buy, and I don't want you to break the bank, but the more of this type of comics we buy, the more we are going to see how fandom can shape our comic book reality. Now, if you like it, I want you to write into Marvel and say, "Hey, Stan, you did great," or whoever our authors are, and let's make sure that they know that they're doing a good job and that it's highly appreciated for what they do. Once again, check out Spider-Man and Deadpool. Now, the last thing on my list for this week was to talk about WWE. I want to start with a very specific thing, and that is with WWE, they are not utilizing their talent the way they could. We are in an era where we're in the reality era, right? So WWE partially needs to face the reality that on Raw, they've been losing ratings. On SmackDown, they've been losing ratings ever since the Attitude Era. The PG era worked. It is good. However, there are a couple things that WWE needs to understand. And that is that if you have a natural heel, that's right, a natural bad guy, and whether he's a bad guy or not doesn't matter. But if you have a natural bad guy, and you know who I'm talking about if you watch WWE, Roman Reigns? Yeah, Roman Reigns. He is a natural bad guy. And they're right, he's not a mid-card guy. He is a natural bad guy. And he would fit the bad guy role a lot better than some other people. And specifically just being bad. The problem is they've put him against people that are also bad. Or they've tried to push him as a face. When you put Roman Reigns against Rusev, and there's nothing wrong with Rusev. Rusev is one heck of a worker. In fact, I think he'd make a better face than he does a heel. But when you put Roman Reigns with Rusev, the problem is they're actually both bad guys. They both look the same. They both move the same. They are the same guy, basically. And you look at Rusev, he's kind of bigger and he's cuddly and he's angry. Rusev doesn't need to be that way. Rusev could make a very good face for that company, and I don't mean a top face like John Cena was, but I do mean a decent face. The thing that they need to do with Reigns is accept where he's at and make him that heel. You look at other guys that were in the industry, you look at Cody Rhodes, you look at Damian Sandow. They could have been huge merchandise sellers. And I'm not talking like Stone Cold merchandise, I'm talking decent merchandise sellers compared to what they were. Even Ryback, you look at Ryback and he could have did good things in the company if he had the proper push and the proper feuds. So I guess this really goes down to writing. They need to get their act together in regards to who the characters of these people actually are. NXT is one of the best things that's happened to the WWE over the last few years because the new guys coming in, they have established characters. You can go back and you can see what's happening. But with the Roman Reigns And the Rusev's not quite so much, but he's doing good. But Roman Reigns, Sami Zayn, even he went through NXT, but he's not that good as far as character goes. It's really about writing, and they need to get better writing. And I know that sounds odd from a perspective of, ooh, who's this guy doing a podcast that 12 people see? Well, I'm an entertainer. I've been an entertainer for 10 years. And even, let's take the James Ellsworth phenomenon. Is there any reason for James Ellsworth to be the top face in the company right now? He's damn near at Cena's numbers for merchandise sales. That's ridiculous. Now you take James Ellsworth and you keep him the lovable, cuddly character for a while. Give him until his run ends. Give him probably 6 months from now. Give him 8 months. Give him until after WrestleMania. But then, the guy's been a wrestler for 15 years. He's a jobber, but he could get put to main event pretty quick. He could weasel his way into a real title match with a real title opportunity, say Elimination Chamber or TLC, where he basically takes 3 hits, waits throughout the whole match, and turns heel. And it would be crazy. Think about that. Like JR says, the boyhood dream realized. No, that was Vince McMahon. Boyhood dream realized. Imagine James Ellsworth winning the WWE title. Of course, to lose it the next week. Or Money in the Bank, the guy comes and kicks the crap out of him and gets the title right away. My point is that there's a lot of directions the WWE could go, and my answers aren't the right ones. But if you look at what the WWE does, they are stifling, and you have to admit, and it's not a matter of reaching up and grabbing that brass ring. When you have a guy like Damien Sandow, who followed The Miz, he had a great, he made that gimmick go, the Miz Dow gimmick, he made it go, and they release him? What kind of crap is that? That guy was doing great. And with the proper push, the proper beating of The Miz, then beating somebody better, beating a Cena. He has beat Cena, I think. Beating a Roman Reigns and actually turning him into a legitimate wrestler instead of a comedy act. They could have had huge numbers off him, and he could have been a main eventer. Another example is Dolph Ziggler. Dolph Ziggler's past his time, I think. But maybe not past his time, but he's past the opportunity state. They could have had him beat Triple H and become a main event star. Sure, he did win 2 titles, but he could have been a lot bigger. And the fact that we had Randy Orton and John Cena fighting for the same for 10 years straight, that bothers me. You need to understand that they can do better, and they can be better for the fans. So anyway, that ends my rant about WWE. Ends my rant about not utilizing talent. So that's the end of this podcast. It's the end of this episode. I know it was short and it was sweet, but it was actually digestible. The other ones are pretty long, so I'm going to try to keep these down to 15 minutes or so. I hope you enjoyed. I'm Jesse Lewis from the Jesse Lewis Podcast, and make sure you check out where'smycreditcard.com. I know that you'll find something useful there. See you next time.